schedule. I don't get any of that here. I can get abused, stolen from. I can just simply say the way you're treating my coworkers is having an impact on my mental health because I hate watching people be abused. And they can say, we think that you've got a bad attitude. We don't like what you're saying. You've got a tone. Yeah, I got a tone. I'm going to be trying to be careful because I see there's kids here. And I'm a bartender. This is hard. I want to say the F word so bad. But it's just so rough, right? So I went back to work in January. I cry every day before I go to work. And so do my coworkers. When you go and get a beer later, when you go get some food, we're just hurting right now. And so are our managers. But I don't care. They actually kind of deserve it. Because the conditions they've put on me for a decade, I need very severe mental health help because I have trauma from the industry. It's really bad. I cry every day. I don't feel safe in my workplace. It's scary. The PRO Act will help me protect myself and feel safe. It will. That will not. But it won't just protect me. It will protect my workers. They are trying to ask us right now. Our restaurant group gets all these calls from media right now, and they say, "Why doesn't anyone want to go back?" Well, why would you want to go back? I'll describe my weekend to you, and you won't want to go back. Yesterday was brutal for me and my coworkers. We just were broken. People are quitting. And it hurts. It hurts every day to see that they just don't have anything left anymore. But what we need to do is inspire them to actually fight. Because quitting is not the answer, right? Coming together with your coworkers in solidarity with your community, fighting for better wages. We have the power right now. Yeah. Owners are hurting. Good. They need to hurt more. Yeah. Don't go back to work if you can stay home. This is a strike, y'all. Stay home. Stay home until they pay you more. Stay home until they give you health care. Stay home until they see you as a human and respect you. That's all we want. We're people. We run this economy. We run this world. We are workers who deserve a PRO Act, and we need to stand up and bring more people into this movement, right? So I want you guys to make sure that you're leaving this today and you just fight for all of us. Not all of us have unions yet. We could lose our jobs tomorrow for being here. They could see me on the news and fire me for nothing, and I would have no recourse. So if you see a restaurant in the city treating people like crap, like Doc's Backyard, McGuire Mormon Hospitality. Gabe Morales is about to open a new restaurant after being fired for a history of assault and abuse on his workers and is about to open a new place. Don't go there. Do not go to these places anymore. Alamo Drafthouse does not get your money anymore. Stop supporting the people that abuse us. And that's what we need more than anything. The PRO Act may not pass, but your dollar doesn't have to pass through their doors, right? So stand with us, stand with workers, and make sure you're doing everything you do to bring everyone into this amazing movement. I'm so happy that I'm here today. Thank you guys so much. Please do everything you can to support this movement. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, everybody. I'm here from TSEU. And in a few weeks, we may very well lose the pension for all new state workers. If you and we don't fight. First, I promise you I will get to it. Not this morning, not in the context of May Day, International Workers' Day, not as a socialist, not as a person of this city. I, like every one of you, sees the real world we have made and says, there but for the grace of God go I, who is of the same working class with those denied the basis of existence, like me, feels profoundly alienated from my city and the majority of people here. The attack on the homeless is a worker's question. It's a rich person's attack on poor people. On workers who are exploited even during good times, on women stuck in abusive relationships with their children, on people with disabilities, on old people. You don't see a lot of 20-year-olds out there in the streets, and so on. In fact, if you didn't vote, and don't have a damn good reason why you didn't, or voted for Prop B, I would really appreciate it if you stay away from me and my comrades today. Of course, the question is what we do next. How do we move past charity and mutual aid into what the Black Panther Party describes as survival pending revolution? Do we sit down on the public sidewalks in solidarity? Do we panhandle in public? Do we sleep in the streets? Do we confront the police in defense of encampments? Surely DSA needs to act in some collective way. And DSA is the largest organization of the left in our city. Cornel West, perhaps the greatest thinker in DSA, says in his foreword to a book about the Black Panther Party survival programs that, like the Black Panthers, we must view the people's needs as holy, people's power as democratic, and people's hopes as precious. And he goes on, he says, and the Black Panther Party remains the enabling and noble wind at our backs. Which brings me to the attack of, survival pending revolution. Which brings me to the attack of the Texas legislature on the pension system of state workers, so far excluding universal workers, but we're not sure that won't come. We're talking about 117,000 people. SB, and I'm going to give you a little background. SB 321 was introduced as a shell bill by Republican Joan Huffman. There really wasn't any language at all. Only a few sentences about the unfunded liability of $14.7 billion and a need for increase in the state contribution to the fund, which is clearly needed, right? So then this bill disappears. The unfunded liability had come from the lack of state contribution for year after year after year. They were contributing about 6.5%, while the employees contributed about 9.5% to their pensions. The state employees on pensions have not had a cost of living raise for 20 years. So the bill reemerged on a fast track on April 16th, and we were totally blindsided. It was a completely inadequate contribution to the fund that would not allow it for it to be solvent for 34 years. It was also included language about conversion of the pension to a cash balance pension system, which is straight out of Alex playbook. It's actually in their paper on how to reform public pensions. So the bill passed the state Senate this past week, with several Democrats also voting in favor of it. And it's now in the House Appropriations Committee this week. And the committee is stacked against us, but it does include Donna Howard and Aaron Zwiener, and you may be in her constituents. So I'm naming those two people, and I say, you gotta lean on them. You know, they're supposed to be our friends. You gotta call them. We've gotta have 1,000 people calling those offices and saying, you gotta do something now. Stall it out. You know, past that, I'm not sure what to suggest. I was fantasizing with a union sister about how many people it would take to walk out of there to stop the functioning of this legislature. You know, like we did before about reproductive rights, I believe. Yeah, there's enough in there to walk out of there, right? There's a story, and I'm going to make it short, but there's a story. You know how everybody always talks about the land on which they stand, and we're standing now a couple of blocks away from the Capitol. But there's a story about a strike of stone cutters in protest of convict labor, which is what was building the darn Capitol. And they had these wonderful statements, which I won't read to you all, but they, in the end, they declared the Austin State Capitol as a scab job. This is the Granite Cutters National Union. And they cautioned against cutting granite for it before the difficulty was settled. In the short term, they won. In the long term, they lost. Because the Texas State Capitol remains a scab job. Yeah.
I'm just gonna yell. Can y'all hear me? Hey! Okay, hold on. Okay, we're gonna do this. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? Okay. My name's Ben. I'm proud to be an electrician, and I'm proud to be a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I'm member number 7698756. A union electrician in Austin, Texas right now, with benefits and everything, makes $39.74 an hour. If that sounds good to you, you can sign up. My buddy Paul has some, I got 30 open spots for apprentices, so hey, have at it, we could use you. But here's the thing. The same electrician with the same skills doing the same work can make $54 an hour in St. Louis. They can make $62 an hour in Toledo. They can make $72 an hour in St. Paul, Minnesota. And they can make a whopping $112 an hour in San Francisco. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that?
Solidarity!
Look, in San Francisco, the IBEW controls 90% of the work. You pay those guys what they want, or you do your work in the dark. That's it. They've got a 35-hour work week. Forget about the 8-hour day. They got a 7-hour day in San Francisco. Right? Here in Austin, Texas, we control about 12% of the market. That means for every one union electrician out there, there are 9 non-union electricians. That puts a downward pressure on wages, is the reason why you can't make here, but you can make in Seattle or Portland. All right, we all know that Texas was one of the first states in the country to pass the right to free load law. And we've been going downhill ever since. You know, back after World War II, 70% of construction in the United States was done union. That's everything from the electrical to the plumbing to hanging sheetrock, the whole bit, all of it. And you can make a good middle-class living on a trade salary for one income, right? Now, our members can't even afford to live in the town they work in. And that's in a situation where the supply of skilled trades is way lower than the demand. I mean, just drive downtown, drive down 35 and look at all the cranes you see, right? There were corporations moving here in droves from California, flooding here. Why? Is it because we're keeping it weird? Right? It's real simple. It's real simple, y'all. Yeah! They're moving from a place where unions are strong and wages are high to a place where unions are weak and wages are low. The governor right over there, he's going to tell you that's because of our business-friendly climate. I call it race to the bottom.
Bullshit.
Right? And I know what's going on here in Austin, Texas is going to make it harder for my brothers in Seattle and San Francisco to bargain their next contract.
That's right.
That's how it works.
That's right.
Right? Where the hell am I going with this?
Prove it!
All right. What I want our senators to understand, you know, what I want our senators to understand is that, I mean, we understand that workers in this country who work for a living have been left behind. Obama talked about it, Trump talked about it, Biden talked about it. What are we going to do about it? We know that giving the wealthy more of their income, letting them keep more of their income is not going to solve the problem. We know, I have very little faith that a big government intervention is going to solve the problem. Dude, it's not rocket science. Just take the shackles off organized labor and we'll solve it. Yeah. Right? That's all we're asking for. All we're asking for is free access to the marketplace of ideas. I mean, we deserve an opportunity. You know, the majority of Americans want to have a union. They should be able to have one without a relentless campaign by the employers of harassment and intimidation.
Right.
We should be allowed to freely assemble if it's on a picket line or a boycott.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
And we need to get rid of right to freeload.
Yeah. Yes.
Forget it. You know, like I said, it's not rocket science. When workers stand together and bargain together, they make more. When they make more, that spurs the economy. The whole country does better.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And all we're asking for is the same ability that corporations have to use our leverage to do better. Is that wrong?
No.
No, it's
That's
America's
right.
apple pie.
Right.
It's not rocket science. Just let the labor movement do our job, and we will make America great again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Mike.
Hey, Mike Siegel, glad to be with you. I'm a two-time union member myself, first as a teacher, then as a city worker. And I'm here to join y'all in fighting for the PRO Act.
Yeah.
What do we want?
PRO Act.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
PRO Act.
When do we want it?
Now.
We want more unions.
Yes.
We want more unionized workers.
Yes.
We want more union locals.
Yes.
And all of this is going to make for a stronger democracy.
Right.
Now, we talk about democracy in this country. We know it's not totally true, right? We've got a Senate. It's not very democratic. We've got an electoral college that's not democratic. There's a lot of flaws. But even if we do call this a democracy on paper, is it a democracy in practice, right? If we have public schools that are funded based on property, right on. If we have public schools that are funded based on property taxes, so rich kids get better schools than poor kids, is that a democracy?
No.
If we have cities that are funded by property taxes, and we have government that favors the most wealthy and the folks who can give the highest campaign contributions, is that a democracy?
No.
And if our workplaces, if the places we spend most of our time every week, if those places are run like fiefdoms, autocratic places, where we can't bargain for decent wages, where we have to ask permission even to go to the bathroom if you're a gig worker or a delivery driver, is that democracy?
No.
So we need to talk about workplace democracy.
Yes.
And the PRO Act is how we're going to get there.
Right.
We want to double union participation. We want to triple union participation. And we know that's how we're going to get the kind of country we're fighting for. We also know that unions are a home for workers. This is, if you think back to the old traditional hiring hall, this is a place where people get political education, where you can come together if you live in different neighborhoods, if you're from different backgrounds, if you have different religious beliefs. But you do have something in common. You have a common enemy, the boss, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need to equalize bargaining power. We need to make sure that we can unionize Amazon. Do you agree?
Yes.
We need to unionize Uber and Lyft. Do you agree?
Yes.
We need to unionize fast food restaurants. Do you agree?
Yes.
And that's what the PRO Act is going to set in motion. Are y'all ready to fight for the PRO Act?
Yes.
And let me just say the last thing. A lot of us believe that we're approaching a realignment of politics in this country where we can go back maybe 40 years and strengthen our voting rights laws, strengthen our civil rights laws, have a New Deal or a Green New Deal. But I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen if we don't have a strong labor movement. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And so if you want universal health care and Medicare for all, we need the PRO Act, right?
Yes.
If we want a Green New Deal to take on climate change and create millions of climate jobs, we need the PRO Act. Is that right?
Yes.
So all of these things we want, whether it's the Equality Act, the Voting Rights Act, all of these essential forms are based on the need of a strong working class movement led by organized labor, and the PRO Act is the next step for that. So thank you all for being here. I know so many of you were fighting against this horrible Prop B in Austin. Thank you for coming out today after that tough loss. We're going to keep fighting on that one.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all the union brothers and sisters that defeated the Strong Mayor Initiative here in Austin. And let's keep fighting. Let's get the PRO Act. Let's get the Green New Deal. Let's get Medicare for all. Let's realign American politics. Thank you all for being here with labor. So what do we need?
The PRO Act.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
The PRO Act.
When do we want it?
Now.
Thank you all so much. When do we want it?
Now!
Thank y'all so much.